Zoom call I've ever been in.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you guys both from Florida?
Yeah, I was born in North Carolina, but then I moved to Florida when I was young. So, but I was from Tampa, and then all the other guys are from Miami.
Oh, okay. How far away is Tampa from Miami?
About 4 hours.
Oh, okay. So it's not super close.
Yeah.
So then how did you meet up with the rest of the guys in the Hales?
At the University of Florida.
Oh, okay. So you guys went to different high schools and then all went to the same.
So me and the drummer, Zach, went to high school together. And so we had another band with a couple other guys that kind of leaked in like through college a little bit, but started when I was like 11 years old. So I'd known them. It's a weird thing where almost everyone except Robbie had kind of like known each other forever in some way or another.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just through random connections.
So three of you guys knew each other, and because Robbie was in Tampa, he didn't meet you guys until you got to college.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like that's a funny story for you to tell, Robbie.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I met Zach, the drummer, when we were just like hanging out. It was like a big group in the dining hall. You know, you just kind of go to college and you're trying to meet people. And there was just a big group sitting together at the dining hall. And somehow we got sat across next from each other. And I was wearing an Arctic Monkeys t-shirt. And he was like, "Oh, do you like that band?" And I was just raving about how much I liked them. And then we just kind of hit it off as friends. And then we started some college bands that never really worked out. And then the five of us got together about 2 years into my college experience. So it took a while to form. Yeah. But yeah.
The Arctic Monkeys were the icebreaker.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think Dylan is joining us.
Yeah.
Somebody popped in. We'll wait for him to get his video. But well, yeah. So, Robbie, tell me about how you got into music originally. Tell me about growing up in Tampa.
Yeah. Music for me started out with like school orchestra.
Okay. Like the school band.
Yeah, I was playing upright bass, so we had an orchestra and in addition to a band, but so I was doing that, and then I took piano lessons, and I never really took a lot of it seriously. And then I finally found my singing voice when I was about 18, so like right before I went to college. And then so when Zach asked me if I liked music, you know, I was super hyped about playing music because he was like, "Yeah, I drum, so I want to make a band." I was like, "Sure, why not? I've never been in a band, so."
Oh, you didn't play in bands in high school or anything?
No, I never did any of that. I always wanted to, you know. I loved like alternative rock bands and all that. That was why I was wearing an Arctic Monkeys t-shirt. But,
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that college was like the first time I actually did a real band.
Aside from the stand-up bass, what was that the first instrument you learned how to play?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then a couple years later, I took some piano lessons, and that's carried on. I still play piano. And then I started teaching myself guitar when I was like into bands when I was like 18. Okay. So yeah, that was when I first started doing that.
And that's when you moved to go to college.
Yeah.
When you're 18 as well.
Yeah.
Right on. Let's see. Hey, Dylan, what's going on, man? Thanks for doing this.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So I was telling these guys earlier, our podcast is all about your journey in the music industry and how you guys got to where you are today. Franco, you want to tell me about how you got into music?
Yeah. So mine was actually like a telemarketer call gone right, I guess.
That's interesting.
I think I was like 10 years old. I remember my mom was sitting at this like glass table we used to have in our house, and like for some reason decided to pick up a random number that she usually wouldn't have, and it was like a local music school in South Florida. And she just asked me like, "Oh, Franco, do you want to play guitar?" And like, what 10-year-old is going to say no to that?
Sure.
So I started taking lessons, and then about a year and a half in, it's kind of, honestly, I didn't realize it until Robbie, you kind of retold your story with Zach, that like kind of the same thing happened to me. That like, so my best friend in 6th grade was another guitar player, and me and Dylan are 2 years younger than the rest of the 3 guys.
Okay.
It's always been that way. But so he had this band called New Vintage with my friend in 6th grade. And I guess something happened and they needed a singer. And I had never sung before, but for some reason I'm like, oh, I'm definitely qualified to do that. And I just remember this. I auditioned over Skype.
Wow.
Singing some like Red Hot Chili Peppers song or something.
Oh, really?
And that was kind of like, so that was like my first foray. And that's actually the band that like bled into maybe up until my sophomore year of college, where I was doing like the Hales and like singing in this other band with Zach.
Oh, wow. And then how did Zach eventually just join the Hales, or was he playing in both bands too?
So when Zach and I got to college, he kind of, I don't know what New Ventures was doing at the time, but Andre, our bassist, was also in that band. So really New Vintage is just like an early form of the Hales.
But without you on vocals, pretty much.
Yeah, and no Dylan. But yeah, so like I don't know, Zach's just like the glue that like makes
totally
it all
the glue.
Somehow he's just like businessman, entrepreneur. He just like reaches out, wants to connect, like. So he was just, looking to like make bands, like just be in any band he could be in at UF. And I mean, it's always funny when we talk about when we first started playing, because like Zach invited Franco to come jam with me, Zach, and Dylan. And we just started like writing songs. Like we didn't even jam or anything like that. So
oh, wow.
Zach's always just kind of like a little bit conniving, I guess. Yeah. But he makes it work. So
nice. Dylan, tell me about how you got into music.
Let's see. I got into guitar through, I think the catalyst was Guitar Hero 3, and I feel like a lot of guitar players in my generation have the same story.
Sure. That or Rock Band.
Yeah, like I'd always been like fascinated, like ever since I could remember, like I'd always been fascinated by like the electric guitar, like just as a physical object. I thought it was the coolest looking thing in the world, and I also loved how it sounded. And then finally, when I got Guitar Hero in like 2007, I was like, this is great, and I got really competitive with it. And then I was like, well, why don't I just try to learn the songs on the real guitar? And then I did. I just kind of taught myself through YouTube. And then within like a year, I started trying to write my own riffs. I had like, when I was like 11, like I wanted to be like the next Hendrix. I wanted to be like the next like guitar god.
Sure.
So I just practiced really, really hard. Yeah, definitely not trying to be a guitar god anymore. I think I prefer, like, I'd rather be more on the songwriting side of things, but guitar is still a big part of what I do. But yeah, I don't know. Just I was in a few bands in high school. Each of them kind of helped mold my taste in music. I was in this one like progressive rock band in high school that really like expanded like my knowledge of music, my appreciation of music. And then college came around, and I was like, well, my last band had broken up, and I was like, well, I gotta figure out how to keep playing live music. And luckily, Zach Levy fell into my lap.
The glue.
From a metaphorical standpoint, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, that's basically that's the story.
When was the first time you played live in front of people? Was that with a high school band?
Yes, yeah. It was at this place called Churchill's, which we played it a few times. The Hills have played at.
Oh, cool.
It's like there aren't that many like small dive bars that people play, like bands play at in Miami, but that's definitely like the premier one, I would say.
Okay.
It's a small little like 300 cap type of, like little grungy, like opened in the 70s type of thing.
Yeah, like a little punk bar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like 16, I think.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, wait, I guess I don't know proximity. So, is the college you guys went to in Miami, or is it close?
No, it's in Gainesville, which is like 5 hours north. So it's like northern Florida.
It's
Yeah.
closer to where I am in Tampa. I'm only about 2 hours away from there. So
okay, so you guys all did. Franco, you and Dylan went to the same school. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So everybody went to the same high school, except for Robbie.
So me and Zach went to the same high school.
Okay.
And then
we all really met at college.
We all met in college, really. That's where it all like came together.
Got it. Okay. So you guys meet in college. When do you guys all decide to jam together, and how did that happen?
Yeah, that was kind of what Dylan ended on with Zach just hit up Dylan, I think.
Oh, right? Really?
Yeah, Zach. Yeah. Well, what
was his line?
You and him. I should go back and look at the Facebook chat. But didn't you and him have bands before?
Yeah. Zach and I had a couple bands. Like I was saying, so I met Zach in the dining hall, and we made a band with his cousin, and we just played around. Just played at like fraternities and sorority events and just like random stuff. And it was cool because I had never done any like band stuff live. I'd only ever played in an orchestra.
Yeah. Like how was that? Was that like completely different going out there?
It's so different. I mean, it's also funny because like the bass section is in the back, and then now as a lead singer, you're just all eyes on you. Yeah. But like, so when I started singing, like I think the first thing I actually did when I sang was my senior year. I did kind of like a talent show, like a showcase. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of people. I mean, like probably 800 or 900, just parents or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because I had a friend come and play Stand By Me with me, and he just played the bass. And then I just sang because I was starting to find my voice, and people seemed to really like it. So I kind of was just jazzed about it from there. And then obviously I met Zach, and we just did like, dumb little gigs around the campus for 2 years, and we took it really seriously, and the rest of the guys didn't really. So finally, like I think going into our junior year, which was when Dylan and Franco were coming in, we were like, we got to find people that are really serious about it. And because it was kind of weird where we were in this phase where we're not really hyped about like our majors, so like let's just make a band and like make that a career path. So it was a weird transition, because I remember when I met him, I was like, man, this kid's so crazy. Like I don't know how I'm gonna convince my parents to let me like be in a rock band for a real career or anything like that. Yeah, it was just funny like how the mindset changed. And then Zach hit Dylan up and we started jamming. I remember talking to Dylan, and we were like talking about the Strokes and Radiohead, and we just connected, immediately. And then me and Franco, like I said, we just started writing somehow. So
nice.
It gelled pretty easily.
Yeah. And then once Dylan joined the band, is that when you guys formed the Hales?
Effectively,
yeah, essentially.
Yeah. We had like a rotation.
We weren't called the Hales right away.
We didn't really have a name.
No, yeah, we were nameless for some time. We were named because our first show was a house show in Zach's in the house that Zach lived in college. I think we were called the Hales at that point, right?
Well, I had made the name like a year before. I just thought it was a cool name. I was just like making names for just shits and giggles. And then I just suggested it, and nobody was like no, so I just used it.
Just kept going with that.
Yeah.
Right on.
I was like, yeah, that works. It's not terrible.
I have zero memories about that. Like no recollection whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you got the name, you played the first show in Zach's house at like a house party. Then what was next for you guys?
Yeah. We played a high dive gig, which was like the local dive bar of Gainesville.
Okay.
And it's like, I think it's pretty historical because a lot of bands that played there, it's been named a couple different things, but like you'll go in there and they have like posters for like Green Day 94.
Wow.
And like the Black Keys and like 99 or 2000 or something like that. Yeah, there's just like a lot. So it's a cool place, and we basically grew up there. We just started playing there like every month or so. We got to know the owner, and he would put us on there as like support for like some decent bands coming through. And we just, I don't know. We got to experience college, and then also kind of just lackadaisically take our time with the band. So it was like a nice incubation period.
That's cool. Yeah, I know Gainesville's huge for music. At least like as far as like punk music. I know they do the fest out there, and
fest, yeah,
they have, there's Hot Water Music was from there, and there's a bunch of different bands. So
yeah,
that's rad. That's really rad. So you're playing the high. You said it was called the High Dive. Oh, okay. So you guys were playing there, and then when did you start recording like the first songs? Was that pretty quickly?
Not really. No, we kind of took our time with that.
A year.
It was like a year and a half to 2, I thought.
Because
about a year, I guess.
So
2017,
our first EP was recorded, which we've since taken off streaming services. That was this December of 2017, and we formed in like.
Or I guess
we started. That was
2015.
It was 2016.
It was 2016.
Yeah.
So it was like a year. It was like a year
after
forming. Yeah. And we had
some songs that we just kind of threw them together. They weren't really like fleshed out. And they were just it was my first recording experience. So I always think of it as like a really big lesson for me, because it was like a weird recording experience, but we recorded at down in Miami over like winter break. And then we just kind of like threw it out there on SoundCloud and Apple Music and Spotify. And it was nice for people to like know some songs, but then we didn't really like, it didn't really give us an identity, and we kind of like rebranded after that.
Do you still play any of those songs, or they're just kind of
no
scrap?
Not really.
Absolutely not.
Well, yeah, Parking Lot.
When's the last time we
we still play Parking Lot. We re-recorded one of the songs.
Oh, okay.
We've re-recorded the first single off that first EP,
which actually it's funny. I remember when we put that was like the single on SoundCloud.
That was like that was our first ever release.
Yeah, but I just remember like we would watch the streams, and one day out of nowhere it went up like 8,000 streams in a day.
The first day was like 10,000.
We thought that was
that's weird.
We kept refreshing it like every 5 minutes. Like,
I thought it was a glitch or something.
300. We thought it was the craziest thing ever.
Whoa! How did that happen? You just organically people just found it.
I guess just like through the people that we sent it to a bunch of people.
Okay.
And like, I don't know if they were sharing it or what, but like, I think it was like 10,000 in a day or something like that.
Wow.
But it was weird. And it was just like SoundCloud. And this was 2017. So it's like, you think not much has changed, but so much has changed since then. So,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I'm looking at your Spotify, and Younger has over 3 million plays. Like that's crazy.
So that's like, Younger is like, the defining moment of our career so far. Because after that EP got put out, I think we started we started being taken more seriously in Gainesville as a band.
Once you recorded that first EP?
Yeah. And like, while we didn't really like take a lot of pride in it, it was at least something for people to like go to after a show.
Something that you could, that they could check out and remember you guys.
And we got some decent gigs out of it. Like Emory University invited us to play at their homecoming, and we opened up for the Plain White Tees. So we like did a road trip to Atlanta, and it was cool because we played for like 2,000 people.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like, it kind of made no sense because we were just still, just working on our degrees.
We actually, the funny thing was at that time too, like we played Younger at that Plain White Tees show.
That was our first time. That was our debut.
And that was
live
like
debut.
What, 4 months before it would eventually come out?
Yeah.
And I remember like the only thing that got the crowd to start paying attention was the cover of Toxic by Britney Spears that we did.
Oh, that's rad. You covered that.
Yeah. That was
covered that for a while.
That was like a staple in our set for a while.
That's funny. Well, tell me about Younger. How did that song blow up to where it is now? Because it looks like on Spotify, that looks like the first song that you put out on Spotify. Is that true?
Yeah, that was the first song we put out. We had the EP on Spotify, and then we took that down. Well, we put out Younger right after a few months after the EP, and then after Younger was put out, we took down the EP. So
Younger was like the rebirth. Younger was kind of like, hey, we're gonna take ourselves seriously. This is like the true identity of the band. And so we put it out, and we didn't have high expectations for it. We recorded it with.
I didn't have any.
We recorded it with a friend.
We recorded it in the room that Dylan's in right now.
Yeah,
really?
In Dylan's bedroom.
Yeah.
Whoa! Do you have like a setup in there?
This is where we practice. This is like our rehearsal space. The drums are set up basically just like that. Yeah.
Whoa!
I think where the
and you have a YouTube poster. That's cool.
Oh yeah. I gotta have that. Yeah, Joshua Tree. Yeah.
Nice. I love that I could see like where you guys are at and like the banjos and the guitars. I noticed that Robbie has a bunk bed.
Yeah. I'm in my brother's room. So.
It's just awesome. Anyway, sorry. So Younger gets released and it does. It looks like it does amazing on Spotify. Like, did it get playlisted? Like, what happened there?
So it was like I think I literally have like the anniversary of it on my calendar. Of the day it like saw that it got on Fresh Finds on Spotify. It was like a week and a half after, 2 weeks after the song came out.
2 weeks. 2 weeks after,
Indie Shuffle wrote about it.
That's right.
And we were like, oh man, this is the first big press we've gotten. So we just like blasted it out, and we were like, everybody go upvote this,
Yeah.
Zach, the connector, was just like, have everybody share it, have everybody like, blast it out. And so we just like
number one on Hype
it got number one. I mean, like, and so I guess random people started finding it too. And so then like Hype Machine and just a lot of blogs picked it up. Like blogs loved it. And then Fresh Finds picked it up and put it on Spotify.
Wow.
And that was crazy, because I think the first day was on Fresh Finds was like 28,000 streams.
Yeah. It's still the most streams we've ever had in a day.
Wow.
Like, to this point.
That's so many. 20,000 streams. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then out of that came like all these, I think like really forming experiences. Like we started having people like start emailing us. Like that was the first time, just people we didn't know reaching out like for business reasons. And we ended up playing this showcase by Communion Records in New York. It was like our first like flight that we took as a band together, kind of being like wooed by industry people for the first time. And it was like, that was such a huge catalyst for where we are today.
Yeah. Tell me about that experience, like flying there and like getting that phone call. That must have been pretty exciting.
It was crazy. That was my first time in New York. So I always thought like I'd just go to New York on like a trip, but like if you'd have told me a band would take me to New York City for the first time, I'd be like, that's crazy. So that was just like weird in general. And like, I mean, it was cool. We like stayed in the Lower East Side right by the venue. And we just kind of like did the tourist stuff a little bit, and then played the show, and we got to visit the Communion Records office, and we came back home with like a bunch of vinyl.
I still have a ton of
it.
Yeah. Now, and did you guys sign a deal with them or no?
No, it was just like for the showcase purposes, really.
Sure.
I don't know what their intentions were or anything, but we developed some connections out of it. So
nice.
I remember too when we were being shown around the communion offices. That was when I first heard about Billie Eilish.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I don't know if you remember, Renee was showing us around, like one of the people who worked there at the time. And she was like, oh yeah. Because I think this girl that she's really kind of been with us since the beginning, Maddie Florence, like,
oh yeah, that's who connected us. Yeah,
like our main kind of press
she's
partner.
great.
She's awesome. And she's like just put in so much work basically since we started.
Mm-hmm.
She was with us on the trip and was talking to her, and they're like, oh, you know, Billie Eilish was here with her family like a few weeks ago or something. And at that point I'd never even heard the name before.
Wow. Now she's like the biggest thing ever. Like,
yeah, it's just kind of funny to think about.
Like every week, if you just look at her Instagram, it goes up like another 6 million followers. Like, it's just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, I mean, everything she's doing is gold. It's crazy. But that's awesome. So you guys went out to New York. You got to play the showcase. Have you done any touring after that? What was the next thing that happened? Because I see like Stay on here with over 2 million, plays. Like, it looks like the momentum kept going.
It did.
There was,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there was a pretty long period of time between Younger and Stay.
Oh, there was
9 months.
Yeah, it was like 9 months. Yeah.
Okay, I can only see the years, so it says 2018. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, I think Younger was like February, and then and Stay was like November.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, November 30th. So yeah, because after Younger, I think we put because it was kind of our first taste of like success. Mm-hmm. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves after that. There had to be a worthy follow-up. Mm-hmm. And Stay came along, and we decided that was it. And Stay did pretty well with playlists and with streaming. And then and after that, it was we just kept writing and writing. Kind of like settled into our own workflow with making demos. And then recording songs like during our breaks. And then within the past year, we finished school. Franco and I finished school. Zach and Robbie had they had finished before us, but they had been hanging out in Gainesville waiting for us to be done. Mm-hmm. Just waiting for us. Yeah. And then after we graduated, I moved back to Miami. Franco got a job in DC. And then Robbie moved back to Tampa, and then Zach and Andre are in Miami. So we've kind of since then we've been like, I don't know, figuring out the best way to collaborate remotely and just like still stay active. Mm-hmm. Right. You asked about tour. That was the one thing I wanted to get to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We went on a tour. When was it? This past, like right before coronavirus. It got cut short because of coronavirus.
Bummer.
Yeah. It started in early March. It was our first ever tour. It was kind of like a co-headline type of thing. We toured with Little Bird, whose band's called Little Bird, and Rare Creatures out of South Carolina. Were great. And it was really short. It was a very quick first taste of tour, but I think it got all of us to kind of like catch the tour bug.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit. It's kind of a shame that it got cut short. But I think it was good. It was good bonding. It's good kind of like it was a good way to kind of see what it's like to tour together and kind of get it to, it makes that future a little bit more real to us, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how many dates did you guys get through before they had to shut it all down? Like where were you at when you decided like, hey, we should probably
they're here.
It was like
we were
like
in
a week
Boston.
and a half in.
Boston
it was like
was
what,
when
6
we
days?
called it.
6 days in? 6 dates?
We six shows. Yeah, we played 6 shows. It was supposed to be 10. It was like a 3-week thing, and then we only played 6, and we were in Boston, so we were really far away, and it was just weird. It was like a weird vibe in the city. People were just like, I don't know. It was strange. It was March 12th. I remember it, and like we were just sitting in a pub, like a classic Boston Irish pub, and again, another city that I'd never been to, and I was like, wow, it's crazy to be here because of a band. And it was just weird because I was like, man, guys, what are we gonna do? And we were like, all the bands kind of just decided, we were like, yeah, this is gonna be the last one. Like, we're just gonna go back home, because you saw like so many people just canceling tours left and right, and so we were like, yeah, this is it. But
yeah, were like the shows, and were any of the upcoming shows being canceled yet, or no? You just decided, hey, this is probably gonna be worse.
They
hadn't been.
They weren't, but like
They weren't.
I think they were gonna be anyways. So there was a Sunday show that we maybe could have played, but I think the other two bands backed out, so we were like, we're not gonna do it.
Right. And then you just had to drive back home from Boston, huh?
Yeah, so we stopped in DC, stayed with Franco a little bit,
made some music, and then
we wrote a song there.
Yeah.
Is that Situations or a different one?
So I feel like
It's just a random one.
We definitely skipped around a little bit. I think if I rewind back, like if we're bringing it backwards for a minute,
I love it.
I think a lot of, so Dylan touched earlier how like we finished college, like physically kind of went our different ways just from like practical reasons. And then we're like trying to find, how do we keep working in this environment, which funny enough is like, I guess, prepared us for coronavirus. But
yeah, because you guys were already spread out before it all hit, huh?
Wow. But so we were like trying to figure that out, and this was like, I'm going to the cabin. That was like what, November, October? No, it was October. It was right before Halloween.
Yeah.
So what, like,
so
I guess like 5 months after we graduated and all left Gainesville.
Yeah, and we had put out 2 other songs.
That's right.
Put out Cabaret and Nothing.
Okay.
And Sugar.
3 other songs, sorry.
Were those just released like one at a time, or did you like a single, then you waited, put another single, waited? Cool.
Yeah.
And so like, and that was so last summer they got released, and we did a lot of recording last summer and a lot of writing, and then that leads into the trip that Franco was going to talk about.
So we just kind of wanted to get together. Like, we hadn't really been the 5 of us in like a super long time from then. So I guess we like spent a while looking around, and then I don't know whose idea it was, maybe yours.
It was mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, we got a cabin in Shenandoah Valley, like 3 hours west of DC, for a week, and just like brought all of our stuff, like had a trailer and everything, just filled it with as much music equipment as possible, and then like kind of had a writing camp, I guess, there.
Yeah, retreat.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm trying to think of what songs were made there, but
honestly, we did a lot more like hanging than writing. It was it was way more like a bonding experience.
It wasn't as productive as it was supposed to be, but it was still a constructive experience.
Yeah, well, at least you guys still know that you can hang out with each other and enjoy doing it and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about Situations then. So that's the most recent song that you've put out.
Yeah. So that's,
was that something that you had written before? Or did you write that during the quarantine? How did that work?
No, that's kind of part of the kind of batch of songs that were written like right after I graduated college. So like after moving back home, I had some more time to do a lot of writing. So I wrote Situations in a couple of days in my room, just kind of put a demo together. I showed it to Zach, who had been coming over like most days of the week to just kind of go over demos and write and jam, talk about whatever business matters we needed to talk about or whatever. So the song was written in a couple of days, and then we finally we properly recorded it. What was it, January of this past year?
Yeah.
We in this great little this little apartment that is now becoming a studio. It's this guy named Andrew Beta. Shout out Andrew Beta. He let us use his apartment. He's kind of for any artist in Miami that might be watching it. Casa Loba. Check out Casa Loba. Yeah. It's just this guy who has an apartment in Wynwood, this little neighborhood in Miami, and he's making it a workspace for artists.
Cool.
He's turned his room into a studio. He's like the nicest, most generous, most gracious guy in the world.
That's awesome.
So yeah, shout out to him. But yeah, it was recorded in January, and then for a while.
It's the first song that we've had like multiple producers on.
Oh, okay.
Because we got linked with these guys, Ruben and PJ, in Miami, and they came in when we were recording at Andrew's place, and we had done the first 5 songs with Matthew Lewin, who's in a project called Magdalena Bay, and he's like an old friend of Dylan's. Like they were in the first band together, and Matt kills it on production. But just for like logistical reasons, because Matt lives in LA now, we were able to work with Ruben and PJ on this one, and we still sent it off to Matt for him to mix. But they really kind of like chopped and screwed it and like figured out kind of what I think is like a newer form of production for us. Like they added in the kids at the beginning, and they like chopped up all these guitars and made them like sound weird. And I think it's cool like produced song, like situations in general. And that was definitely interesting because they just kind of like they had a cool, I don't really know how much they knew each other beforehand, but they had a cool like kind of workflow between the two of them, because they were just like they would just kind of bounce off each other like little ideas, and then like one guy was working in Ableton and one guy was working in Logic, and they'd have to like figure out how to
bounce back and forth. Yeah.
But it was fun to watch, because like typically we kind of have like a more hands-on approach when we're working with Matt. Like Matt's kind of like an extension of the band. He's in a way like the 6th member, but yeah, working with 2 other producers was definitely interesting.
Yeah, you have more input,
yeah,
more people's opinions to juggle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, is Situations going to be part of an EP, or what do you guys have planned? Okay, you do have an EP planned. Okay, that's cool. And I love the video. Like, who came up with the concept for the video? It's just like so many people on like a Zoom call. Like it's just
I can talk about that.
Like, who are these people that are on the Zoom call?
Those are fans.
Really?
We put out an Instagram story the week before the song came out, just like, if you want to hang out and hear a song early, reply with your email. And we had like 150 people respond, which was like crazy. Did not
That's awesome.
That.
Yeah.
But about like, I guess 30, 40 showed up, and we just kind of hung out for like 2 hours on a Sunday. I recorded.
We sent him all the song.
Yeah, we sent him all the song the night before.
Oh, cool.
And the concept was like, so we do these things called audio videos, where it's like, most people, when they put an official audio on YouTube, it's just the album art. Right. And we just thought like, that's boring. Like at that point, why is it even on there? It's a visual medium. Like there should be something there.
Right.
But music videos are like way too much work to do for every song.
And they're expensive too, I'm sure.
Exactly. So what we had been doing was, wherever we were, basically like the week or a few days before the song came out, we would just have one of our friends like record us with their phone. Like some of them are by a trash can outside of a gig in Tampa while like waiting for Dylan to get there because he was late, or like us at a festival or something.
That's awesome.
But obviously now that's not the most realistic thing. Like the 5 of us just literally can't get together.
Right.
So but it's like,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, it seems like you guys are making the best of it with like, I've been seeing these like FaceTime sessions you guys are doing, and that looks
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
So it's, I guess, kind of an extension of that in some ways. So it's like, how can we be creative about the situation and like exactly that, make the best of it, and still kind of keep like the vision and the energy of who we are when we're together, just however we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love watching the Stay video where you guys, I think it was Stay. Yeah, and then like somebody has
in the parking lot.
No, you're all in your rooms. It's like one of the
the FaceTime session. Okay,
yeah. The FaceTime session.
Yeah,
okay.
And so it must be Zach because he said he plays drums. He's got like a baking pot and he's got like foil over it and he's using it. And he's like got like salt and he's like, it's like so creative. Like I love it. Did you guys just do in post, like edit it all together? Like how'd you do like the latency with it?
Yeah, no, that was definitely. I wish I could say we did it live, but definitely
that's
a
lot
of work went into it.
Yeah. Do you have any more planned? More FaceTime sessions planned?
In stone, maybe not, but like we're definitely. I think it's like a new way to express a song. Like if we think the song would fit well and sound cool through it.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think they're rad. What about are you guys doing live streams on like Instagram or anything like that?
We've done a couple. Franco and I went live together. We just kind of
fun.
We just kind of like shot the shit and just hung out. It was kind of weird. It was toward the beginning of the whole pandemic.
Okay.
Zach did one. He like chatted with another band. That was kind of cool. But
really?
Dylan's doing one tonight.
Oh really? Yeah. What are you doing tonight, Dylan?
Right.
Facebook Live?
Backroom, Instagram Live.
Instagram Live. Okay.
Backroom session. Is that what it's called? Backroom
sessions?
Yeah,
it's like a Miami thing.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And are you performing on it or just gonna chat?
Just talking.
Rad.
Just talking, awesome. Right? Yeah. Short little interview.
By the way, you have to play the entire discography by yourself.
Perfect. Good thing I've been rehearsing.
Right on, guys. Well, thanks again for chatting with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I want to know. I have one more question for you. I want to know individually if you guys have any advice for aspiring artists.
I don't know.
I can start.
Yeah.
I feel like a lesson.
I knew Frank would have an answer.
Yeah, I was just kind of waiting to see if you guys would start first. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I'll jump in. It's funny. I talked about this in like the fan live stream we did a couple weeks ago. It's like a huge lesson for me that I learned like as we were putting out the follow-ups to Stay is like just never settle and don't let, I think, the idea of what you should be doing impact like what you really want to be doing. Like I think we felt a pressure to keep releasing music because it was 9 months between Younger and Stay. It's like, okay, well now we need to like create the schedule and just like be consistent about putting stuff out. And I feel like kind of sold ourselves short a little bit. Like I would have liked to have some stuff marinate for longer. And of course, like you live and you learn, like it's not like I'm here ruminating over it every day, but I think if I could go back and like set myself down from 2 years ago, and it would be that like, don't just keep working until you love it. Cause if you don't love it, then it's just not going to be pretty after.
Yeah. So I dig it. That's great advice.
Yeah.
I would say follow your instincts. That's a big thing. Whether it's like writing music or making any kind of decision, just don't doubt yourself. Cause like what your gut feeling about something. And I guess I'm speaking more in like a writing creative context, but your gut feeling about something is usually the best feeling. So don't underestimate your instinct.
I like that.
I'd say keep learning too. Like I just got a new laptop and it's been a long time coming. I've needed it for a long time and I'm finally like gonna sit down and learn Logic.
Oh, cool.
And like I've already written a couple ideas on it, and I don't know, like that's something I always just tell myself, because like truthfully, like we're still like a fledgling artist, and you know, if we just keep learning and adding to our craft and our arsenal, like, you know, it feels like there's no stopping us. Because like I always feel like I got into singing late, I got into like guitar late, I got into like music production late, but like really, you know, you have your whole life to just keep learning about it. So why not? You know, there's no reason to let age, you know, or like perception change what you want to learn. So bringing it backward.